Shwa! Hello everyone, what's happening? It's Richard Purnell here. How you all doing? I hope you're doing well. Ooh, yeah. Oh man, this week was busy for me. And because of how busy my work schedule is, I haven't been able to get the episodes of comics out on time. And that's going to happen again next week, because next week is also like a training week, which means I'm going to have the same hours. So you're probably going to get like Wednesday and Sunday episodes. Anyways, as you know, you're watching this video, so you know what that means. It is time for comics! So it seems like whenever I ask you guys if you had any questions for me or anything like that, the most common question I get is, who do you think should play so-and-so, or who's that, or what's and, you know, a solo Batman film coming out. And honestly, I still don't have much of an answer to that question. I mean, I've thought about it a little bit. Like, I would love to see Michael Fassbender tackle the Joker if they ever use him again. I mean, with the smile that guy has, I mean, that's just Joker material right there. Also, on a more obscure, maybe a little shocking note, I think I could probably see Jesse Eisenberg playing the Riddler. I think that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, I haven't really thought about it all that much. But there was something that I did think about that I feel like I want to address in one of these videos. So that's what I'm doing. And the thing I want to address is how I want to see Batman villains adapted in the next batch of Batman films. So far, we've had a pretty good chunk of Batman villains adapted into the silver screen. Not all well done, mind you, but we still had a good chunk. Hell, we've even had repeats, for crying out loud. We've had like 2 Jokers, 2 Catwomen, like 1.5 Two-Faces, because I ain't counting Tommy Lee Jones as a full number. And you know, as much as I enjoyed a lot of the adaptations we've seen so far, I still think that maybe these next batch of films should go a different route. So here are some tips that I have to whoever's the director or screenwriter or both or whatever, the next batch of Batman films, on how I would love to see Batman villains adapted next. First tip, one villain is just fine. Minus the first Tim Burton Batman film, it seems like every single Batman movie needed more than one villain for some reason. Hell, even the 1966 Batman film had 4 villains in it. Well, I'm here to tell you that one is okay. Plus, there are a lot of times I'm watching these Batman films and, you know, another villain shows up, and then they're not really, like, well utilized, or at least as well utilized as the main villain that was in the film, mainly. Like, as much as I loved The Dark Knight, as much as I think that is the best live-action Batman film so far, they didn't really give Two-Face enough, you know, and then they just kind of killed him off at the end. Next tip. Try not to repeat yourself. As I've said before, we've had at least, you know, 3 or 4 Batman villains repeated. And admittedly, I think that if you just redo a Batman villain, especially a Batman villain we've seen, like, more than once, it might feel a little tired. It might feel a little like, been there, done that. And, you know, the mystery won't be there as much. At least not in the early Batman films. Like, down the road, that's perfectly fine. Like, if you're gonna make like 4 or 5 Batman films and you want to use the Joker for the 5th, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Also, I wouldn't mind like seeing repeats of some of the villains that you've only seen once. Like, that would be okay, because I wouldn't feel as tired. But if you use the Joker again, or if you use Two-Face again, it's gonna be like, I've seen this already. Next tip: don't be afraid to get fantastical. Is that a word, fantastical? So, it is true that a lot of Batman's rogues gallery are more psychologically driven than they are, like, superpowered. But even so, you know, there are a lot of very fantasy, you know, very fictitious, very unrealistic Batman villains that are awesome. There's even been versions of, you know, more fantastical Batman villains, or more fantastical elements to Batman villains that have been adapted before that was taken out of it just because it didn't really fit within that world. And I'm here to say to the next director, next writer, whatever, don't be afraid to get a little fantastical with it. It's a comic book movie at the end of the day. We'll be perfectly fine if a dude can morph into anything he wants. And we'll also be perfectly fine if a giant crocodile man shoots out of... Actually, no, maybe not Killer Croc, because, you know, Spider-Man had the lizard character, and that might... Yeah, let's avoid Killer Croc. Plus, it's a lot more easier to get a little fantastical with this new continuity, because, you know, if you watch Man of Steel, which is, you know, where the continuity starts, it is set in our world, it is set today, but the aliens show up. So if aliens can show up, then why can't frickin', you know, people turn themselves into giant bat creatures? That's all I'm saying. And final tip, use somebody we haven't seen before. Batman's Rogues Gallery is vast and plenty. There's just a ton of great choices to work with. Don't treat Batman villains like a song and use the same beat over and over again. Try something a little different. Get a little experimental if you want. Not with the characters themselves too much. I mean, it's a metaphor. You get what I'm saying. You know, I would love to see like Scarface or Black Mask or Mad Bat or Clayface or any of these other characters show up in a Batman film that we haven't seen before. But maybe don't get too obscure with it, because if you just start, henpicking at, if you start just, swimming through the sea of Batman villains and then just pick the most random one and throw them into the Batman film, it probably won't do all that well. But yes, use someone that we haven't seen before, maybe one of the more well-known ones. I mean, people will be excited, especially nowadays, because, a lot of people are getting familiar with who Batman's Rogues Gallery is, especially after they played like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and whatnot, now Arkham Origins, so people are getting pretty familiar. I will say though, if there was one like brand new, like very obscure villain that not a lot of people know about that I would love to see adapted into a Batman film, Court of Owls. Anywho, that is my tips and whatnot for how I think Batman villains should be adapted. In the comment section below, what Batman villain that we haven't seen before would you love to see in a Batman film, and who would you want to play them? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. But anyways, that's about it for this guy. Don't forget to like this video. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, directorscutradio.com, and Tumblr, and also on Vine if you can. Links are all down below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like what you see, and favorite the video because I like it when you do that. And I will see you guys next week with a review of some Marvel stuff. Let's just say that. Later, guys. Wow.